Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the College COD League Alpha channel. I am Cruising Spaz today. Joined alongside me, I hold shift. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I just had a wonderful dinner. I'm not going to lie. I was feeling a little empty in the stomach. Had a nice little Caesar salad, a little bit of pasta with some sausage. Oh, I'm feeling good. It's the final day of the split for some of these teams coming in. So a lot of qualification implications are on the line for the evening.
Absolutely. We got some heaters of some matchups today to look over these very quickly. I'm just going to throw it. It's going to be University of Nebraska Lincoln going up against the University of Northern Iowa first, followed by the University of North Texas, who is an 8-0 team going up against the University of Texas at Dallas, a 7-0 team. So that should be a barn burner of a matchup. And then throwing it to McCord and Morgan later on tonight, it's going to be match 3. It's going to be Arizona State University going up against Grossman Community College. And I think that should be a great matchup tonight as well.
Yeah, that battle out west is actually a really interesting one. I think a lot of us already know the story of what Grossmont has done in the past. They've always been a major contender since they've been a part of the CCL, but they've got a really good opponent on the line as well with Arizona State playing very, very lights out. But like you mentioned, hey, we got a battle for the Midwest to start things off. Nebraska going up against Northern Iowa. It's a battle of who grows the best corn, maybe for some. I don't really know, but it's going to be a good one here because, like we mentioned, UNI Gold is obviously sitting in a very comfortable spot, but Nebraska actually isn't.
Yeah, so Nebraska is currently sitting at 4-4 in the league and are currently on the outside looking in for the top half of the division, ending this split one. So we all know how important it is to finish in that top half of the split. That's how you get up and you get into that upper echelon of the top division and you will be playing those top teams in our second split. Currently, they are sitting just behind St. Ambrose, who is also sitting at 4-4, but are also holding the tiebreaker with a 3-1 win
Yeah.
over Nebraska. So not only do they need a win themselves tonight, but they need Northwest Missouri State to take a win off of St. Ambrose for them to be able to qualify.
I mean, this is what it comes down to. Those final moments. Nebraska had such a great start to the season overall, but then they started playing up against some of the more tough opponents in their division, and they have faced 4 straight losses in those matches, which is not great news overall for Nebraska. So, where do they need to get it done? I think is the kind of question that I'm lingering on as they start to play up against a number 12 team that is looking very, very solid in the form of Northern Iowa Gold. And I'm looking specifically at they got to be better in the respawn overall because the hard point in the control is definitely one of those positions where they've kind of largely gone 50-50. Their search and destroy has been kind of a staple for a lot of their wins in the past. But when you're starting to play up against some of the tougher opponents in your division, you have to be a good respawn team because let's be honest, a lot of the teams in the CCL largely rely on those 1 or 2 guys that can just take over a game. And it's easier to do that in a respawn than maybe it would be in a search and destroy.
Absolutely. And I think one thing to really look at, especially as well going into this with their respawn, is hardpoint in specific. They started off the season 5-1 in hardpoint, are currently on a 5 loss streak in a row on hardpoint. So
Yeah.
definitely need to turn it around on that streak there. So it's definitely going to be tough for them.
Indeed. And just kind of going over this Nebraska roster overall, I mean, it's just one of those teams that you look at and you sit there and say, well, where did they come from? But they've been playing very well. I mean, Zyphos is a guy that has played on other teams prior, and I think it was a transfer to Nebraska at the beginning of the year. He's been playing with ATB, Gray, and Trav. But on the other side, we know what we do expect from Mello and Stun, I think, overall. But you look at players like Barney and Chalk, what they've brought to UNI Gold, even though I think they were in a position last week when they played up against Ottawa Black. Tough opponent. They didn't really put up too much of a fight, but you don't really expect them to when it comes down to a team that is very well rehearsed, very, very talented, and is building a lot of experience playing to the challenger scene overall. This is a matchup that, at least for me, Nebraska needs to come out and they need to start swinging early because UNI Gold is going to be looking out for a little bit of blood. This is a matchup that they have to figure they're expected to win. So if they come out and get a little bit shell shocked, that could lead to some potential openings for Nebraska.
Absolutely. And I mean, speaking of our match, we can take a little look at our series breakdown here. So we're going to be going to checkmate for map 1 on hardpoint, map 2 back to checkmate for the search and destroy. Then we're heading to raid for map number 3. That's going to be control. Then if we do end up going the distance today, it's going to be crossroads for map number 4, and then Moscow for search and destroy on map number 5. Anything that really sticks out for you in this series?
Yeah, I think it's just the checkmate, and I hate to kind of linger on not just what the teams have done to these maps, but the map itself. But let's be honest, checkmate could be a very difficult map to try to finesse. So I'm really looking at that search and destroy and opening hard point where Nebraska is going to have to come with something predetermined as far as whether the strat's going to look like. But the thing about it is, in the hard point on checkmate, they're only 1-0 on the map. They've only had a chance to play it a single time so far in CCL competition. And then when you go to their search and destroy, 3-2 on the map overall. So You're hoping that there's going to be a little bit of polish right there. On the other front, though, for the side of UNI Gold, this is by far one of their most played maps. So again, it's just one of those things that if you're going to come out and take a win here for Nebraska, one that we mentioned that you need, it has to be on one of these first two maps because you cannot go down 0-2 versus this UNI Gold team. And to be fair, it's a map that, like we mentioned, they're very rehearsed on. 3-1 on Hardpoint, 3-1 on Search and Destroy. We're not going to see it in Control, but just to give you the statistic, they're 4-1 on the Checkmate Control. So that kind of lends me to believe that if you're looking at this from the perspective of Nebraska, you got to come out, you got to take this first map. If not at that, maybe even try to steal that second Search and Destroy since that is one of your best modes.
Absolutely, and it does sound like we're getting ready to load up into map number 1 now. I think one other thing that's really kind of important to talk about is both the losses for the side of Northern Iowa on Checkmate have both come to Ottawa Black. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're losing that map to the best team in the game right now, arguably. Maybe not even arguably. They really have been quite dominant to start off the season here.
Yeah, they've been really, really good. And yeah, I think that you hit it on the head there. You really can't be upset, I think, about losing matches to that squad overall. It's just one of those things that they're so darn talented. So you take what you can find if you can even find anything versus either of those two Ottawa squads. But for Nebraska, you're going to need to get in and take over early in my mind. And they will be in the red, UNI Gold in the white. And so far, it looks like UNI Gold will be starting on the favored side for what eventually will be a P2 rotation.
Yeah, UNI Gold off to a great start so far here as they are holding down the right side spawns that they'd like to be in. We're going to be on with Trav inside the hill now, starting off 3-0 for Nebraska. Going to fall finally, but a nice little 13-second start for the side of Nebraska. Issue for them is they're going to have to try to flip these spawns out and flip them out shortly. But if they're able to hold on to a good amount of time here to start this game off, they could be in for a good look.
Yeah, I don't think you're upset about this starting for Nebraska. I think, yeah, you would have loved to have gotten a little bit more progress over towards the P2 side, but you get 21 seconds, so it gives you a little bit of wiggle room as far as, okay, we don't necessarily need to break off our opening attempt before we feel like we're super, super down early, but it would be nice if we could find a way to get an entry, and this is going to have to come through this container lane. Very difficult considering he is still in the middle of the plane.
Yes, Sun City is going to be able to pick up 2 on the rotation over, so Nebraska kind of only has 1 player left now. And it's going to be Zyphos. Zyphos was able to pick up 1, continuing just to try to wait for his teammates to come off a spawn here, but it's going to be Chalked noticing the players being able to grab the first one. He's going to be the first line of defense here for UNI Gold as he picks up 2 up the front. Going to switch over to the XM4 now, finds his 3rd kill in a row. So Chalked off to a fantastic start here.
Yeah, and on the other side, you really need to be looking at, I think, Zyphos and then Gray just to get things going for Nebraska early. They are the top KD holders in the hard point, and so far, not bad, but you would like a little bit more, especially when Chalked is doing things like he just did. An 8-4 start for him, and UNI Gold, they essentially lock in a full 60, and they've got a really good look at opening up this 3rd hard point pretty early on.
Yeah, UNI Gold continuing to hold on to this hill for now as the next hill pops up, and they are going to be once again set up towards the bottom of the map. They have complete plane control right now as they continue to lock down some early time here. And it's going to be Barney pushing out through the side, able to pick up his first kill, and he's continued to run raid. They are in absolute control of this hard point right now.
And it's because they're in control of the plane. If you're Nebraska, you kind of come out of that A lane for what is essentially a choke point hit into P2. It's unsuccessful. You try to exit away from that. You don't get top plane control, and that leads to UNI Gold feeling really good. So Barney's going to likely have a pretty good look at cleaning up this hard point, and as he does, his teammates will also pick up the full pieces, and that's another full wipe for the Panthers as they stretch towards 100 points.
That big pinch coming in there from him as he's able to pick up another 2 there. So, I mean, UNI Gold, man, they have been off to a great start here, currently up 94-23. And now we start to look over towards the rotations, though, as some gunfights go down in the middle of the map. But UNI Gold able to clean those up as well as the kill feed continues to bounce back and forth. But the hard point continues to stay in the favor of UNI Gold now. A little bit of a split spawn coming in for the side of Nebraska, and we'll see how UNI decides to play with that.
Yeah, I think for the Cornhuskers, you just need to start seeing some of those red arrows make their way over towards the plane. Everything is so one-dimensional. It's all right, this hard point is opened up. Let's just full flood and get to the front of it. But if you're not able to control that plane area, you're going to get pinched up, you're going to get flanked, you're going to get caught on crosses. and that's where the Panthers have largely been able to establish their pressure, not just across the plane, but obviously beyond that, on the 3 hard points that we've seen in this last 3 rotations. Mello now up top, going to lock down another key lane as he watches not just the plane, but also make sure that the left side of this hard point stays safe, and UNI Gold have been flawless. They have barely even given up a single point since that first hill.
And I think another big thing to note on that we've seen coming from the side of UNI Gold is they're just winning all these trades. And not just winning them, they're kind of dominating in this lane in the trades right now. Basically, every time I see a kill feed pop up, it's 3-1 for the side of UNI Gold. So, I mean, if you're Nebraska, you're going to have to start slaying. You're going to have to start slaying very soon here as we look to head towards this P5 hill. And it's, once again, going to be UNI Gold set up at the bottom. And we'll have to see if Nebraska can get some control of this plane and try to flank down.
Yeah, it's not looking good here, is it, Cruz and Spaz? I mean, you've got the back spawns, kind of, but Mello was starting to put a little bit of influence, and every kill that he finds should continue to either spawn Nebraska to the top left, or at worst, top middle right by this plane as soon as the Panthers decide they want to get into the hard point. So they give up about 9 points worth of time, but this is looking very dangerous right now for the side of Nebraska. You've got Chalked already on 22 kills, just dying 6 times. We said that we wanted to see Zyphos and Gray get active. Well, they've been trying to get active, but 26 total engagements for Gray, 16 of those deaths is not a great way to get things started for Nebraska overall. The last break attempt looks like it will be successful, and that will lead towards a little bit more time, but this first rotation just dominated by UNI.
Right, and now the battle for the plane going on here. We've seen a couple big comebacks this weekend in the CDL, so we'll have to see if Nebraska is able to get it done here. Going to be set up inside this first P1 hill, but it looks like the side of UNI Gold now trying to make their way on in here. Trav going to pick up the first big kill here. But if you're UNI Gold here, man, you're just kind of looking to pick up spawns for next, continue to just build on this big lead that you have right now because you've got the winner's advantage right now. They don't really have to try to focus on maybe even getting these spawns as they do finally now hop on into the hill. 3 more go down for the side of UNI Gold, and they are back in complete control of the plane. And there's only one player for the side of Nebraska Esports over towards the right side of the map. He's going to fall as well. So it's now they're in control of the plane and they're in control of spawns.
It's just so clinical. This is exactly what you want to see from a team that's sitting in our top 25. You're just disciplined about, okay, we're outside this plane. We were trying to soak up some scrap time. It gets taken away from us. Hit the checklist. Clear the lanes, take the power positions, get the following kills, and then make your move across the map. This is something that we, to be fair, did not see a lot of UNI Gold doing versus Ottawa. Now, granted, totally different opponent here, but regardless, if this is a preset condition as far as UNI Gold trying to adjust and change after that loss they had last week, this is great stuff, as it looks like they are in a pretty good position here to probably lock this game down right on this hard point and maybe even put Nebraska in the 100-point club.
Yeah, they can absolutely win it on this hard point, and they are in absolute control of it right now, pushing out towards this middle of the map. Player number 7, Mello, is pushed up so far on this map. He can watch all the crossover here. Not going to see anything, though, as 2 of the players are running through the plane and underneath, but he's finally going to get met with some players over towards the side. He's able to grab 1. Teammates cleaning up the rest. We get a little bit of a pinstripe kill feed coming in back and forth, but it's going to be Chalked in the yellow crate, able to pick up 1. Grabs his second there as well before falling. But, man, they are only 8 seconds away, and it is looking like this is going to be a UNI Gold win unless Gray says something about it. But he's going to fall as well as UNI Gold coming out, making a statement with a 250-66 win in this first game over Nebraska.
We haven't not had a lot of time to watch Nebraska play this year, but I think they kind of turned a couple of heads towards this division specifically because they came out and they were a perfect 4-0, only dropping 2 maps in the process. And we just weren't sure what to expect from teams like South Dakota State. We weren't sure what to expect from teams like Northwest Missouri State, even though we watched them on stream a lot in the first 3 weeks. But then they play up against St. Ambrose, the team that is kind of gatekeeping them from being in the top side of the division right now. And they only win a single map, and it was the Search and Destroy, which we again continue to say is by far their strongest mode overall. Then they get blown out by Ottawa, they get blown out by Bethany College, and they get blown out by Iowa. So I think it's one of those things that Nebraska, very fortunate early part of your schedule, but the problem is without winning a single one of those last 4 matches versus key opponents like Bethany and St. Ambrose and even Iowa, going up against your final opponent in the split, which is Northern Iowa Gold, number 12, Yeah, good luck, have fun. So not a great start what we wanted to see from them out of the checkmate hard point. That's going to have to be a recovery coming into the search and destroy in my mind if they want to have a chance at this series.
Yeah, absolutely. This search and destroy is a must win for them coming into this. Like we said, it is looking like their best game mode. And for anybody who's just joining us right now, this is a must win match for Nebraska. If they win this match and they get a St. Ambrose loss, they do qualify in our top half of this split in the top half of the Division A for the side of the North Central Division. So they definitely need a win here. Whether that's going to happen or not really depends on if they're able to clutch up in these search and destroys and steal a respawn off of this UNI Gold team, who has looked very, very dominant so far.
Yeah, this division has been really interesting because if you just were to take a look at Division A here in the North Central region, everybody has beat essentially who they need to beat to be in the position that they are currently in the standings. And what I mean by that is for Nebraska, to get into that top 5, because this is a 10-team total division that you have, not a 12-team. So their split technically comes to an end after this match today. The thing about it is you beat Northwest Missouri State's, South Dakota, Laurentian, and the University of South Dakota Coyotes B, but then you lose to a team like St. Ambrose. That's it. That's all that it happens. There has not been a lot of mixing and mingling between these teams. You've got an 0-8 team, 2 different 0-8 teams. I think they actually play each other tonight. That's the Laurentian Blue and USD Coyotes B. But as everyone's in the position that they're currently in the standings because they beat everybody who's lower than them is what I'm trying to say. So that's, again, a little bit of a troubling position for Nebraska and why going into this match that you're not feeling very great about it, needing a win versus the number 2 team overall in your division. And like I've already said, the number 12 team overall in the CCL.
And it's so tough for them too, because they did have such a great start to their season, and everybody was looking at this Nebraska team like, oh man, they were opening some eyes up. But unfortunately for them, it was really against just some of those bottom tier teams in this division, which I mean might not be the worst case for them as well. If they do end up finishing in that bottom half, at least they have wins over all the other teams in the bottom half.
That's fair.
They do know that they can go into that second half of the split and maybe be a dominant team down there coming towards playoffs. But it's really just going to come down to it. We are now loading up into our checkmate search and destroy. Do you have anything that you want to say about this map? Anything that we should be looking out for?
We've seen a lot of very interesting strategy changes in the CDL so far, and I'm wondering if any of our teams will kind of try to adapt into that. One of them being that very passive defensive setup. Not going to be the case here, though, as, oh boy, Nebraska all over the middle of the plane. None of them able to find even a trade. Leaves Zyphos by himself. It would have to be a 1v4, and he gets caught from the side. But kind of to go back to your question, what I'm looking for here for Nebraska, they need to try to quell some of the speed and tempo that we're going to be expecting from Northern Iowa. And I think it's okay if you do give up the plane early on defense and try to play for a retake, because what we kind of saw in the CDL was once you give that plane up and you get the bomb down, you're kind of looking for, wait, what next? And some teams get kind of caught off guard in that kind of post-plant setup going into a full 4v4. So maybe that's a consideration, but expect to see UNI Gold continue to try to just hold this joystick down and try to get in their faces as fast as possible.
Absolutely. And Chalk starting off very hot so far, already on a 2 streak, opened up the plane completely for the side of UNI Gold on their first offense there. And I mean, offense, I think, is a little bit tougher to win than defense on this map. But when you have a player like Chalk, it's a little bit easier because him with the sub is just something else. He's going to be able to pick up the first, not able to find the second. Quick trades come out from ATB, but ATB also is going to get traded out from Barney, so it's going to leave Gray now all by himself in a 1 versus 2 after picking up that trade by himself, trying to push on through this plane. He's going to have a one-on-one with Mello. Mello finds the shots and the wall bang to finish off the round, and UNI Gold starting up 2-0.
Quell the aggression, Cornhuskers. This is the hit off the rip. Barney just running from the side. No one's even looking at it. ATB was responsible for 1 trade, but the problem is if those are 2 of your ARs, you're kind of out in no man's land. If you're going to lock down that A lane, you got to be able to at least read the information of, is someone going to push through this lane on me? And if not, then I can turn my attention over to the wing. But that doesn't just mean that you can give it up for free like that. You have to have somebody kind of watching, because we know that this Panthers team is going to play fast. And if you're going to allow them to have an opportunity like that, you shouldn't really expect any other results besides that outcome right there from round number 2.
Yeah, right now, if you're the Panthers on offense, it really looks like you guys are like, push as hard as we can through this plane, try to get control, and try to just flush the side of Nebraska Esports out. But this time, Nebraska going to answer with the first blood of their own here. So now Chalk just trying to look over top of this right wing, trying to see if he can just find any of the defensive players off guard to see if he can pick up a kill, try to trade this out. But it looks like for now, the side of UNI is just going to be at a standstill as they continue to try to look for information. But Zyphos is going to be able to pick up another kill there onto Chalk, and it's going to leave Suncities and Mello in a in a 2 versus 4. Make that a 2 versus 3 as Sunsity is able to grab one. Grabs the second as well, but gonna fall, and that's gonna leave Mello all by himself now, 1 versus 2.
Oh, look, it's not exactly the sexiest defense I've ever seen in my life, but hey, you just full stack one side and you just overwhelm any potential push through. I'm fine with it if it works. And yeah, it would have been nice to get that trade maybe a little bit sooner, but Mello's left the 1v2 and Nebraska will be able to clean up the final kill. So again, it's been interesting.
Had me a little worried there. Oh no, I was like, this is one they gotta win here, man. That had me a little bit worried. Sunsity though, he almost was able to close to even this round out by himself. If the trade doesn't come in here, I think that's absolutely a winnable round for them, even though they lost the first 2 bloods. But I mean, that's something that we've seen from Florida this week, then, though, a lot as well, or from this week, as they would play a lot of matches where they were getting a ton of first bloods, but losing a lot of search and destroys. So, I mean, I guess first bloods, they usually do end up being the case of why a lot of teams are winning these early rounds and why they're winning rounds. But I mean, maybe not when it comes to the CDL right now, but I can tell you, you don't want to give up first bloods and expect to win a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah, that might be the case unless your name is the Florida Mutineers, apparently. But hey, good first bloods here once more. Nebraska kind of, again, playing very passively, this time down by the BU wing. And I'm not going to lie to you. Look, this is the one concern I have about the UNI Panthers. We saw it kind of be exploited versus Ottawa Black. They've been running at opponents all division long. And once you get beat like that, I feel like you kind of got to humble yourself up and be a little bit more responsible how you're playing, because now Nebraska is doing almost the exact same thing. Nice little double chow comes through, and the Cornhuskers have possession of the B site.
1v4. This would have to be absolutely insane from Chalk to be able to pick up this win. He's able to grab the first, grabs the second, dips out with his life. He should be chased down and shot in the back shortly, but not going to be the case. Both players from the side of Nebraska Esports are going to set up inside the plane now and just try to watch angles as Chalk picks up his third. You got to be kidding me. This would be an absolutely insane round. 25 seconds left. He still has more than enough time to finish this off. Gray is going to tuck away in a corner as Chalk continues to look for him inside this hill. And, oh, he's spots him out of the corner, and Chalk with a 1 versus 4 shoots the body after. Gonna have enough time for the defuse. The disrespect coming in, but I mean, why not when you just 1v4 and get the ace?
I'll let him have his moment for one single round, but put a pin in that round because I'm about to completely be the Panthers' biggest enemy in a moment. But the fact of the matter is, the only way you can respond to this is to really look at Nebraska and say, what in the world are we doing? Like, are we solo challing? Are we trying to communicate? Like, this cannot happen. I mean, I feel like that was Maven's most said phrase over the last week and Super Week was these search and destroy clutch-ups that it just can't happen. Get together. You've got a 4-on-1. Run players in duos. Make him make it a more incredible play than finding 4 individual one-on-ones. But that did not occur, and Chalk goes 7-2 on 4 straight kills, and UNI go up 3-1.
Absolutely. How do you continue just to push on through over and over again? One-on-one gunfights. Just take a double chow one time at the player. Stay together. Run together. Like, they played on absolute different sides of the plane, even when they were in the 1 versus 2, let alone the 1 versus 4. But Mello gonna be able to find the first blood here as he picks up a kill on the Zyphos. Chalk's gonna slide back through, find his 5th in a row. One more player left in the corner here. I expect to see Chalk push out and challenge this once he heals up. He's going to, but he's also back up, play his life here. Mello gonna fall, and that's gonna leave Chalk once again alone here, 1 versus 2.
He finds the first. There should be the trade from up top, but no, Chalk puts him down. And look, here, let me go back to my prior point. You're about to go into the second split where you're going to be playing up against the top teams from the other division, which includes a flawless Illini blue team, 2 different 7-1 squads in the form of DePaul and Concordia, Wisconsin, and then a couple of resilient teams so far in South Dakota, and then there's a little bit of yet to be determined who the last team will be. How have UNI Gold not learned that just running at opponents is not going to get them guaranteed wins? This is going to come off as like super overcritical, and I totally get it. I'll take the fire for it. You got to play more together because you can't keep finding yourselves in 1v4s, 1v3s, and 1v2s versus the better teams coming into split 2.
No, I mean, you are absolutely correct. You can't expect to be able to win matches like that. You can't rely on Chalk and gun skill alone to be able to pick up these wins. Chalk, though, does pick up streaks as he is on that 7 in a row. So that 7th kill that he did find in that last round was able to pick one up, and Mello was able to find one here as well. So it's going to be a 2 versus 4 for the side of Nebraska. But I mean, Nebraska realistically should be leading in this game in at least a 3-2 right now, you would think. And Trade's going to go down, and UNI Gold are going to pick up that round there as well to take the 5-1 lead. Let me remind everybody who's just tuning in, once again, this is a match that Nebraska absolutely needs to win. And you're getting 1v4 and 1v2. You guys got to get some better communication going on here to be able to pick up these round wins.
Yeah, it says in D101, and we've seen a couple of things where there's been a handful of bait and switches that have been successful for Nebraska. And again, largely outside of the first 3 rounds, Nebraska has actually made a couple of decent adjustments to where they are trying to play a little bit more passive, let UNI come at you individually and try to see if you can farm their mistakes. But the thing about this is UNI Gold has just got such a higher skill gap, and the skill disparity is what's going to probably eventually give us our result here. But again, Zypho's able to find first blood. It's Barney who gets a little over-aggressive. We're going to get the artillery strike down. It will essentially split this defense up, but it will not find any kills. So Nebraska in a 4v3.
Not finding anything, but Stunsides says, I will find something myself here as he picks up one, and Mello finds one as well. Looks like Chalk deciding to get aggressive here. Up the right side of the plane, he'll find one as well. So 3 individual gunfight wins go the side of UNI Gold, and that's going to leave Zyphos all by himself here for Nebraska. Finds the first. Truly, we might not see another 1 versus Magic here as Zyphos finds the second. Going to get tagged up from Sunsides, so just choosing to play his life for now and backing up into this NASA building. Finds the third, takes some shots, not able to finish off the kill yet as he repositions and tries to set up in this 1 versus 1.
This is a very even 1 versus 1 as well. Zyphos by far the hard carrier for the Cornhuskers, the recent transfer, and he's going to have some time to try to play with as he shrugs them off the B bomb site. It looks like Stun actually wants to try to play for the kill, but he will reveal his position and then track back, get the bomb planted, and give us 45 seconds to determine the outcome.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're Zyphos, once you check that bomb, you got to know that he's going A. If you didn't before, or sorry, going B. If you didn't before, you know now. And I believe he just heard the slide a second time as well. So he knows the player is on the left side of this map, trying to spot him, but might end up getting shot in the back. No, he gets around a corner just in the nick of time. If timing works out nicely here for Stunsides, he should be able to find him and find the kill as UNI Gold get the bomb down and don't get 1v3 there, as they pick up the match 6-1. And honestly, another very dominant win on this point. Checkmate.
Yeah, and again, I will give a little bit of credit here. Nebraska did try to make a handful of adjustments. And just going back to it, this is the number 12 team in Northern Iowa. This is a match that going into it, Nebraska needs to win. But let's be honest with one another. We're expecting Northern Iowa to win this match without much problem because they've ran through the entirety of this division with the exception of Audible Black with no problem. But the thing about it is I'm not looking at this matchup in specific for UNI Gold and evaluating them. I'm looking at them as far as what are you going to be able to do when you're going up against another tough top 25 opponent when we get to the second split where the top teams from each of the regional divisions now have to play up against each other. And there might just be some consideration of we don't need to play that way, Shift. Stop talking about it. But they played like this versus Ottawa Black and got smoked. So if you're looking as a Northern Iowa fan, you want to see them try to be a little bit more complete, a little bit more cautious, maybe to a certain extent, and not find yourself having to clutch up 1v3s and 1v2s round after round. Because if Nebraska's giving you down to numbers like that, you have to know that a team like Illini Blue will do the exact same thing. Regardless, I'll get off that soapbox. We'll appreciate the score as it stands. The 250-66 and the 6-1. UNI Gold, the Panthers looking very solid.
I mean, I got to agree with you, though. They absolutely are going to need to start making the game a little bit easier on themselves. Stop running into these other teams. Because, yeah, sure, you just got a 6-1 win. But like we said while we were in that match, Nebraska, absolutely, if they clutch up a couple of those rounds with those big man advantages that they have, that game absolutely could have been a 3-3 going towards the later half of it, not a 6-1. Nonetheless, though, we will have to see what we get out of the rest of this series as we look to head into the control next. But before that, we're going to head to a short little break here while we get the lobby all set up and ready to go, guys. This has been the CCL on the Alpha stream. We will see you guys after this short break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the CCL. Cruise and Spaz here, joined with I Hold Shift. We are looking ahead into map number 3 shortly here. It's going to be raid control with UNI Gold currently setting up 2-0 in the series with a 250-66 win on the Checkmate and a 6-1 win on the Search and Destroy. UNI Gold coming into this match looking very good, and Nebraska coming in needing a win here. So if they want to be able to finish in the top half of this split, it's going to have to be a reverse sweep, and it's going to have to start now. Shift, what do you think going into this map 3?
Yeah, the control is this. For raid specifically, we've seen a lot of different kind of set strategies. One of my favorites so far, and I'm not really because it's really well executed, but just because it's fun to watch, is what I'm calling the Paris Legion strat on offense, where you just get everyone out of spawn, you rush towards that B zone, get as many ticks of progress as possible, force the defense to rotate over to you, and once you eventually get wiped, you spawn right next to A, so you go and do the same thing to A. So we'll see if there's going to be anything kind of up the sleeve here of Nebraska. But the big problem here is the fact that, like we mentioned at the top of the show, against this Northern Iowa Gold squad, as a collective four, they're just really, really solid players. All of the things that we could look at as far as statistics are concerned are really not even worth mentioning because they're just so high. Like everyone's holding about a 2.0 KD on control. So they've been farming their way through this division so far. And if you're Nebraska, you needed to win one of those first 2 maps, I think, in my mind, to have a chance at this series. You don't. And now you're going into a control mode, which is by far your worst. And there's going to have to be something completely miraculous here, I feel like, if they're going to have a shot at beating this Panthers team right here on raid control.
Absolutely. Loading on into this now. Going to be starting off with the side of Nebraska here on offense as they try to push over towards this B site. It's going to be 4 players, and it's only the side of Sun Cities here who's going to be the only player to try to be able to challenge this, but it's going to be Gray taking in some shots and being able to drop him with the rotation very quickly from the side of UNI Gold, coming in from the back as Barney is able to find 2 on the pinch, and it's just going to leave player number 3, ATB, by himself over towards this B site as the rest of Nebraska tries to come off spawn.
Decent kills, though, and I'm so far for the Cornhuskers. I'm enjoying the fact that they're trying to get a little bit of mid-map presence. Gray does not expect Chalk to be right above him, so he will fall. But it does allow the Cornhuskers to get onto the site, start making a bit of progress. The retake attempt will be largely successful, only dropping a single member as UNI Gold. But again, coming off spawn, Nebraska doing a nice job of making sure they're keeping some focus on the middle of the map. Really, I love seeing that. It gives you a bit of an easier opportunity, making sure that you can rotate from both control zones, and you can kind of read what exactly the defense wants to do to you, which, at least for right now, seems to be whatever they want.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing I can say that I'm pretty happy to see so far from the side of Nebraska, especially though, is they have not given up total spawn control yet towards the side of UNI Gold, which is how we see a majority of these defenses a majority of these offenses on the side of Raid lost. It's going to be Zyphos in the top window. He's able to find 2, make that 3 in a row for the side of Nebraska. It's only going to be chalked over towards the B site as he finds 1 as well, but it's going to be a triple stack now for the side of Nebraska on the hill as they get the first tick in, second tick already coming in as well, but the trades now coming in for the side of UNI Gold as Barney's able to find 2. They're going to get the 3rd player off the hill, and it's just going to be Gray. He gets shut down by Barney as well as he finds his 4th kill in a row. Him and Chalk on a 7 spree combined as they continue to look to win this round.
Last attempt here for Nebraska. Someone's got to get on, and there's the play from behind. Chalk eventually makes his move. And on 6 in a row for Barney, just dealing with everybody from not just over through art, but also to pillars, below him, upside down, inside out. Doesn't make much of a difference, it seems like. The Panthers a little bit interesting, I would say, as far as how Nebraska came out of the gates, but in the end, Barney took over.
Yeah, Barney absolutely just took over on this A site. We're going to get to see it again here as he finds the 3 kills to open up that site and then finds the 4th on the Gray as he cleans up all 4 of them. Absolutely crazy stuff coming out of him. I think one thing I do want to touch on that we didn't fully touch on, I know you said you didn't want to fully talk about stats, but I think one thing that I think is really cool about this UNI Gold team is that they've come into this control on raid with a 9-0 round count as well as a 3-0. Like, that's some crazy stuff. They have not dropped a round.
Yeah, and just a little bit of a heads up here, Northwest Missouri State is playing up against St. Ambrose, and Northwest Missouri State is currently up 2-0, which means if they beat St. Ambrose, there would be a 3-way tie for who gets in as the final spot into the split 1 top division. And that would mean that it would go to map count. And, well, right now for Nebraska, they're looking at that. If they won't know that, but they need to get map wins. They're just 13-14 now, technically 13-16. So if it stands, I'm pretty sure Northwestern Missouri State would be the team to get in if they were able to cleanly win their series versus St. Ambrose that's currently going on off stream.
That would be absolutely crazy if Northwest Missouri State is able to get on in. But at the moment, Chalked still on this streak, 7-0. He has streaks. I'm not sure if Barney ended up finishing with streaks at the end of last round, as he was on a 7 spree at one point as well. He's going to be able to pick up 1 as well. So lots of streaks as well for the side of UNI Gold as they continue to get some ticks of progress in over towards this A side here. And they only need 1 tick of progress over towards B. They've got streaks to try to break, but we'll see if they even end up using them here.
Nebraska just needs to play more together. If you were just to watch the minimap, you're seeing a bunch of red arrows that cannot help one another. And if I'm being completely candid, and I think it's pretty obvious at this point, you can't allow that to happen versus UNI Gold. You have to play for trades because let's be honest, hardly anybody is winning their ones outside of Zyphos this series, and sometimes Gray. But for Trav and ATB, if they are continuing to find individual 1v1 gunfights versus a UNI Gold team that is a more complete overall squad, you have to be in a position that you can get traded or you can trade out your teammates. That just has not been there whatsoever. So Nebraska, I think you just need to reevaluate what exactly we're doing as a setup. You can't just keep individually running at this UNI Gold team and expecting to come out on top.
Yeah, and here's a situation that they don't want at all as the full wipe comes in and the final tick on to B comes through as UNI Gold are going to go up 2-0 here in the series. I mean, honestly, just checkbook stuff out of them. Like, basically everything that you want to see coming out of a control on raid right now. And you were starting to see why they're 3-0 with now an 11-0 round count on this map as they are just looking very, very dominant.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. And we've seen this largely throughout the entirety of this first split when we're watching these teams that, are kind of in the middle of their division. Where are they coming up short versus the teams that are above them? Now, this is a little bit more of an extenuating circumstance because it is the number 12 team in the CCL. But for Nebraska, I think you just got to play more collectively together. That's the big problem. Trav is 1-10. Seems like he doesn't even want to come out of spawn this round. And it's just really disheartening overall, I would say. Just to start your season off 4-0, thinking you're going to be in a really good position to get into that top cut. And now all of a sudden, you're getting manhandled by the Panthers. And yeah, it looks like actually Trav has disconnected. It is a timeout, not a leave. So we'll see exactly how things unfold. But for now, we'll continue on with this third round as if nothing has ever happened.
We will continue on with this round. It's definitely going to be a tough one now for Nebraska to try to be able to pick up these sites with a 3 versus 4. But that's going to be Gray in the middle of the map, finding 2 as they look to head over towards this A site now. Half a tick of progress in towards this A, but it looks like the side of UNI Gold is choosing to make a full wrap through the spawn of Nebraska here. And they're actually going to choose to drop some streaks on the A. That should get them off, and that's going to move player number 6, Barney, up to be a player who had a chance to make a play on this middle hill, but it's going to choose to now flank up towards this art room.
The kills are looking pretty solid. Zyphos is trying the best that he possibly can to extend this clock an extra 60 seconds, but he will be put down. Barney responds to him, no problem. And for the Panthers, all over this, as the only real threat would be a capture of the A zone. And, well, right now, Panthers are all over the map, including from behind. Looks like this will be a capture, though, for Nebraska. And it's just kind of odd to see. I mean, you're getting the UNI Gold team is largely kind of just playing with their food a little bit right now, but it looks like Trav has actually reconnected us. So, again, we'll kind of keep that in consideration when we determine exactly what happens here for this game.
Yeah, maybe they might be able to have a chance to pick up the rest of this round. Trav just wanted to reset his stats a little bit here as he's going to start off 2-0 now on his reconnect to the game as they continue to look over towards this B site, but more streaks are going to be the issue for the side of Nebraska. If they're able to get around these, they might have a chance to go to capture onto this B zone, but Chalk's going to find 2, and Barney drops 1 of his own. That's going to be full site control, back in control of UNI Gold.
Mello trying to push forward, and again, take for what you will. This are still UNI Gold is kind of flying at Nebraska, and I still just kind of hold in the back of my mind, like, this is a note that I'm going to take with me when these teams get into split 2. Will UNI Gold show some restraint when they start playing up against tough opponents in the other division? That's really kind of my big consideration at the moment. Nebraska is actually starting to make a little bit of headway, though, as they have made their way through pools. So it just comes down to, again, one of the problems they had during the hard point was the fact that they were largely just over-focused on the objective itself and not clearing the map, and that looks like that's the problem again.
Yeah, that definitely looks to be the same case here. I think one thing we can say for UNI Gold, yes, they are just running at their opponents. Maybe it could happen to be a little bit of a disrespect thing here too. They don't see Nebraska as a full-on opponent right now, so they're just kind of running at them. But honestly, like you said, that absolutely could be something that could really hurt them against some top teams. Egos can definitely be a big thing to hurt teams in Call of Duty in general. And I mean, it looks like Nebraska is going to get this first take on in, but it's just going to be Zyphos by himself on the hill. After finding 2, he's going to drop. Chalk's going to find the 4th, and it doesn't look like anybody for the side of UNI Gold, or sorry, for the side of Nebraska is going to be able to get close enough towards this hill, and UNI Gold going to pick up the 3-0 win, continuing to be undefeated here on Raid, and the 3-0 win here in the series for them.
Yeah, the Panthers, I mean, again, this is a match that I think we largely expected them to come out and play this well and have an easy time versus this Nebraska team. I think if this were to have been a matchup a couple of weeks ago, we wouldn't have known to expect, but when you're coming off of 3-0 losses to Bethany College, 3-0 loss to Ottawa Black, you would expect that. But then even a 4-game loss to St. Ambrose, of which some of those maps really weren't that close. I think we really started to see what exactly Nebraska was putting on the field was not up to the task of a team like UNI Gold specifically here for this matchup. So with that loss pending, it of course holds because there was that situation where Trav lagged out. But if we're being honest, it probably would not have made too much more of a difference. Maybe would have seen an extra round or two, but UNI Gold is looking like a far better squad. Now we just kind of essentially wait to see what happens between Northwestern Missouri State and St. Ambrose, who last we heard for NWMS, they were up 2-0 versus St. Ambrose. So if that does still hold and St. Ambrose loses that matchup, that will send us to a 3-way tie at 4-5 for who gets into that 5th spot overall here in the North Central Region's Division A.
And you did say that the tiebreaker comes down to map count, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So if that's the case, I'm looking at map counts right now. If Northwest Missouri State's able to get a 3-0 or even just pick up the win in general, they will have more map wins than St. Ambrose. So you would have to think that Northwest Missouri State will be the team to lock in that 5th spot. So good luck to them if they're able to pull that one off over St. Ambrose. But guys, that's probably about going to do it for us here in our first series of the day on Alpha. But coming up next, it's going to be the University of North Texas going up against the University of Texas at Dallas. 2 undefeated teams going to be going at it. It's going to be a barn burner. You guys are not going to want to miss it. Guys, we'll be right back after this quick break.